morning. Morning, you two. I've gone back and looked at stuff, and I may have compromised what I was trying to do with my example on being overwhelmed with negative energies and cursing and cussing. That may have not been appropriate, but like I said, I'm making myself vulnerable, so I'm going to leave it there. As much as I don't want to, I'm going to leave it there. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. I know I haven't done the makeup vlog yet. I've just been real sad. I've been sad for so long. Um, and it kind of all started with when I first came here to Florida in 2004, from when I was married. My family kind of felt like I had abandoned them, and I had been away from them for so long. And while I was in Oklahoma, I'd suffered so many deaths and made to feel guilty about my family. And my whole purpose was to try to be an example and show them to, work hard towards the things you want, and don't make excuses for anything. And if you want to go to school, you can go to school. And if you get someone pregnant, or you're in love, and you do what's right, and you get married. And that's just because of the childhood that I had, and where I came from. But when I came here in 2004, I was working at Radio Shack in a job that I really didn't like. Um, I had turned down a job working with the civilian side of the Air Force in a position that they only offer one civilian every 3 years. So my wife could take a teaching job uh, in Mesquite, Texas for 1 year, and then quit it. And I don't want to go into the real reasons behind everything, but it's hard to live and maintain something that's not being truthful and honest. And it does something to you. Either you learn to live a lie and you want to continue to live that lie, or you want to have truth and you want to prove um, truth in any way. So when I came to Florida, I was working at Radio Shack, and I was very depressed and sad because I hadn't seen my friends or family I'd lost. It seemed like all my friends and family, and it seemed like everything that I was doing to show how strong I was for family, and just wanting to do the right thing. It was not being seen by the ones that needed it the most, and it was not. Um, so um, when I came here, I had around $1,000, and I'd still had a check left at a Radio Shack, which I'd left with my ex-wife. And my whole argument was, if you love me, you're going to come here and get me, because my argument was about family. Well, in the process of that happening, I had a friend from high school who I'd helped open up some businesses, some well, doing landscape. Didn't help him open them; he was running them, but I did the labor and made the name look good. Because at the time, I was also doing a lot of community service in the theater, doing a lot of community theater, and I'd done some other stuff uh, that I'd got ripped off on. It seems like I'm always getting ripped off. I had a contract for $2,500 per performance, and seems like all these times I get ripped off, it just causes me to go further in the hole. And without the right family and support structure, it gets harder and harder and harder in this great codependent society that's been created, crafted. And well, when I was here in 2004, I was good friends with his brother too, Jacob, and he's like, "Oh, we want to pay you $75,000 to help us out for the next 6 months because of all the hurricanes." So I told my wife still at the time, I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna do some work with the Romanos. It'd be the same as if I was working at home, and all I'm gonna do is put the money in the bank account." And so I did that. Well, about 2 months into it, I'm telling her, I'm like, "Hey, I want to take the entire family to Disney World." And she had gotten a restraining order against me, which I didn't understand. And then this is after I'd already put $7,000 in the bank account in the course of this time. And then she asked me, what's your work address? Because I had, I'm trying to help my friends work smart. They were spending a lot of money on hotel rooms with all these different employees. And so I just rented a house in Daytona to start, bypassing all that money that I saw being wasted. Because I'm like, there's no way they're going to be able to pay me if they're going through all this type of money. So I'm like, I really need to assert my intelligence now and see everything that I'm going on. But I was undermined once again, and I was served with some paperwork in December on a morning that I was supposed to appear before a judge in Texas. Now, I'm not a rich man, and there was no way I was going to be able to make it to Texas by that time. And so I had waived my rights on that, and I had no idea what was going on, because even though I was still talking to my ex-wife, or my wife that I still thought at the time, because I didn't know what was going on, she had claimed I abandoned the family and got a signatureless divorce, which I didn't know, because she was still talking to me like, everything was great and still accepting all the money I was sending. But in the process, I was accruing a ridiculous amount of child support and in a ridiculous amount of interest. And I didn't find out about it because of the whole address thing and all this other stuff until I was already $36,000 behind in child support. At that time, I early on, during the whole film and theater thing, I was always going to go into the Marines. I was always going to be a military lawyer or an attorney, or I was always going to be in the military. I'd taken the ASVAB, and I'd done very well in high school, and I'd gone to the Marines, like, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and work out and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, you know what, I need to try the military again. I had taken a DLAB test, which was a defensive language assessment battery, because I told them the only way that I was really wanted to go in the military is if I could make movies or commercials, videos, work in the media department of the military, or if I could be like a modern day spy, like a Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, James Bond kind of thing. Well, I had to take this test. Well, I failed the test, and they offered me an open contract, and I swore in twice, and I ended up having someone pick me up from MEPS on a day that I think we were supposed to leave for boot camp, and I never heard anything back. But to get back, so once I found out that I was 36,000, I was like, you know what, I need to go into the military, because this is the only thing that's really going to be able to help me now. So I went to the Army, and the Army's like, yeah, we we'd love to have you in OCS, which is a officer candidate school as a flight warrant officer. And I'm like, yeah, sounds beautiful. They're like, all right, we need to do you have this? Do you have this? And I'm like, well, I want to be honest with you. So I told them about some things, and they came back and they're like, well, we don't have any record of anything like that because the courthouse where these records were cased in before they converted to digital, it was wiped away by a tornado. So you'll never have to worry about that again. I'm like, okay. They're like, but the bad news is despite everything, we can't let you in the with this arrearage in child support and with your teeth the way that they are, because my teeth have constantly been deteriorating. I don't know if it was because of, at first I was real worried about it, and they did all these scalings and pulling things out, and the way I'd moved around so much, and the work actually just aided in the decay, is what I think. But they told me that I'd need to pay the child support, so I called up my ex, and I was like, look, these are children. We got to be friends for, forever. For at least until the kids are older, and you know, the only thing that's preventing me is this child support. Can you call this off? And once I get in the military, we get everything established, then let's. But no, it wasn't good enough, and she was real adamant about saying no. So I really didn't know what to do. So I went back to the friends that had ripped me off um, prior to work again, to like try to be like, all right, dude, I forgive you, but your codependency is fucking killing me, and it's killing everything that I've ever done in my life and tried to do in my life. And come on, let's just work, man. Let's make money. Let's get the family stuff back together. And I tried to do that again, but all he just showed me was this codependency, and that I really didn't matter, and all I was that great building block that allowed him to create what was created. So I I'm like, man, I need to get involved in some theater, and I started TDing at a local theater, and I was harassed in an inappropriate way, and then from then I resigned, and my contract was never paid out, and then I was still struggling, and I started uh, riding around on trash days and finding trash that I could recycle to kind of like stay alive, because there was no one in my family to help me out, and I was just constantly losing everything that I had. Um, I auditioned for a show at the Alhambra, which is an equity theater, which is when I was 17, I got cast in a production of Big River. My senior year, I'd hurt my neck playing football my 11th grade year, and I started doing theater, and I got paid for it. And from then, I got a note on a mirror to audition for another place, and I got cast as the lead, and I got paid for that, and that's where I met my first love, who really kind of impacted me a lot. But so I auditioned back at the Alhambra for a play called Shenandoah, and I got cast in it. While I was in that play, I met a guy um, by the name of Dave, and he was a substitute teacher. And I always wanted to teach, and that was the first thing that I was going to do when I came back here, was to teach, because my ex-wife used to just lay around and complain about being a teacher. I'm like, that's the one thing I've wanted to do my whole life, and I don't understand how you can just be complaining about it. And I don't know. And so he's like, man, you should look into substitute teaching. If you wanted to be a teacher, it'd be a good way to step in. So I looked in, and I started substitute teaching. I started out substituting chemistry, and then I started working with students with exceptionalities like autism, the autism spectrum disorder, low functioning, mid functioning. I worked with a VPK class for about 4 months, and then I transferred to a 12 to 23-year-old self-contained classroom with 7 students and 4 paraprofessionals as the teacher, working with their IEPs, their individual education plans, and creating their daily lessons and defending them and protecting them, because some of the stuff that happened in that classroom with those paraprofessionals was very vulgar and profane. And while I was doing that, I auditioned for a show at Theater Jacksonville, because I'd always hoped that, me doing something someone would see and offer a job, or because I always told, you find what you like doing, and you make that your career objective, and I have since I was a child. Um, so I auditioned for a Midsummer Night's Dream at Theater Jacksonville and was cast as Oberon. And in that production, I met a guy named Rains, who was also the theater teacher at the school that I did the chemistry assignment at, and he wanted to hire me to build a set for him. And I used some of his sketches, and I designed a set for Taming of the Shrew, and TD'd the show, and the kids liked me, and they were amazed because I was so used to working very fast, and I put the set up in a day or two, and had everything going, and did it all on my own with a couple students that would come hang out and help, and everyone was amazed. But Rains came up to me and he was like, "Man, I can't take this, dude." He would amaze me in the class. He'd be like, "Shut the fuck up! Fuck!" I'm like, "Dude, you're doing this in high school?" I'm like, "You're freaking me out." He's like, "Dude, I can't take this." So he's like, "Man, do you want to take over?" He's like, "I'll put in a word for the principal, and you can, I'm like, "Yeah, man." So I interviewed and sent in my resume, and I was hired as the theater teacher at First Coast. I had a 3-year contract, and I maintained that 3-year contract, and it was very difficult, just based off the money, because of the fraud that my ex-wife did. The child support, I was only bringing in $500 every 2 weeks. My apartment was $700. I commuted 65 miles daily, and that was when gas was at like $3 a gallon, and I'd lost everything during that time just to make sure that I kept a good name. And I did great stuff with the kids and spent tons of time with them, and we did great volunteer stuff. And during that time too, I begged my ex-wife to do what was right, and no. So according to my records, I've paid her about close to $70,000 in child support since my children were 5. My son will be 18 this year, so that's, wow, 13 years. And I just got a notice saying that I'm $203,000 behind in child support. It's amazing to me. My father was murdered. I never even got Social Security. I mean, and all I really wanted to be was the father to my children that I never had. And all that really happened to me was I was just financially crippled and paralyzed because people don't like being truthful. I made myself completely vulnerable, and I was taken advantage of in every way. Because when people know your weaknesses, it's really easy to take advantage of you, especially if you have a big heart. And you want to be honest and you want to be real. Well, because I couldn't complete everything that I needed to continue teaching, and I'd begged, and I'd gone to every law thing, and every try to get advice from the teachers and the teachers guild, and I went everywhere and talked to my mentors and everyone and told them everything, and no one could help me. So after that time at First Coast teaching, and I really thought that I would kind of like retire there and be able to like make my own independent films and movies and play video games and have a good life and be a good influence on kids and use my experiences to kind of help them and be a good role model for my children and my family. But it's all been undermined. So after the teaching thing, I cashed out my 401k, and there was about 11,000 in it. I paid a $2,000 penalty. I had talked to my son. It was in October on the phone, and he was like, "I really want to see you," and I'm like, "I really want to see you too." I'm like, "This is what Dad has. This is what Daddy has. Do you want him to do this?" And he was like, "Yes." So I cashed out my 401k, and I made an attempt at this fight once again because I had already sent certified mail signature, a certified mail with all my tax records, all my income statements, everything like that. And it's a unique thing when you're dealing with that good old boy network. You know, when the judge was the sorority sister, the mother-in-law, and you know they breed horses, and you know everyone's in law enforcement and politics and education, and I'm just a nobody. But I still kept fighting and doing everything that I could within my means, and all while attempting to be righteous about it. So I went to Texas. Texas wouldn't help me because I was a Florida resident. Florida wouldn't help me because the case was in Texas. Texas couldn't do anything about it because she'd already been an Oklahoma resident for so long that it was just this big mishmash of just baloney bullshit. So I talked to my kids and I'm trying to see them, and I can't. I drive all the way to go see them, and I can't. And I end up am escorted out of the state of Texas by like all these police officers and state troopers just following me, just bullying me. To cover up someone else's evil, someone else's corruption and fraud. Well, now I had used up all my resources. I have no credit. I'm already behind in all this child support. I keep trying to get jobs, but people run credit checks on you, and no one wants to get a personal story and understand kind of like what's going on. You just kind of keep falling, and you keep trying to dig yourself up out of the hole, and you keep trying to, you know, pull your belt up tight and get through it. So I kept looking through the trash, and I kept maintaining myself through the trash. Non-ferrous metals, coppers, aluminums, brass, bronze, electric wires, dog cages, kennels. I'd find things and sell them to thrift shops. All the while still trying to maintain the passion of acting and directing and writing in truth for life, and proving things about life and family and friends and corruption. I guess I'd made someone mad doing the trash thing because they booby trapped my truck because I used to be on this great little cycle, and they had put a soapy rag in my radiator. They had thrown a satellite dish through my front windshield, and so that vehicle was no longer working, and I didn't have the money, so I just scrapped the vehicle. So now I didn't have an important tool to make money now. And now I've been living off the kindness of a few people um, that see everything that I've gone through, know how hard I try. It seems like every one of these little menial jobs I get for $8 an hour, $10 an hour, the people that run these things are just assholes. And I don't like working for assholes, and I'm tired of profiting assholes. It seems like I've just done it my whole life. So I've been donating my plasma for years now. $20 and $35. $20 and $45. Twice a week. That's how I've been living. All the while still trying to maintain some glimmer of hope for a brighter day. I always just think about the story of Job nonstop. When I was, and I think of the play that I saw at the American College Theater Festival, God's Favorite, and my friend just, my Rasta friend, he's so awesome. He's just like, you're going through everything, and you would go through it a million times more if you just know about the blessings you're gonna receive. You would do it 1,000 times more. And I'm like, I hope, man. I'm praying. I just don't know if it's worth that pain. You know, when all you really want to be is the father that you never had, and you wanted to be able to grow up because you never really grew up. You were smart, and you were always uh, made fun of for your intelligence. You were always bullied for your intelligence. When all you really wanted to be was that father you never had. Create the family you've always wanted, never had. And I wanted to do it on my own, and I know I might not vlog anymore today. That brings me to where I am now, just donating plasma. Every now and then I might get to mow a lawn and get a couple extra dollars. Me eating out and having a really nice meal is like a Little Caesars pizza or a 10-piece nugget from Burger King. Have a great day. Stay blessed. I try to keep smiling. I really do. And it's hard. It's really hard when you don't have not many that really care. Well, I'm gonna get dressed. I might go to the reptile show. They're having a reptile show at the Morocco Temple today. I was supposed to mow a lawn yesterday with one of my Rasta brothers, but I never heard from him. I was feeling ill yesterday and laid down and took a nap, and during that nap I think that I was violated, but whatever. Alright, let's have a great day. Have a beautiful day. And we'll get to that makeup soon. We got nothing but time. If you've seen any of the profiles of the people I know and anything like that, then you've probably seen a little bit of the work I've done. So,